Hey, and welcome back to Podcasting for Experts. I'm Jess, co-founder here at Pristine Podcast, and today we're going to continue our chat from the last episode about lead magnets. So today I want to talk about some of the biggest mistakes that podcasters make when it comes to their lead magnets and what change you can make right now to improve the number of leads that you're getting. So let's dive in. You're listening to Podcasting for Experts with honest conversations about using podcasting as a tool to grow your reach, increase your audience, make a positive impact on the world, and most importantly, to get paid for your efforts. I'm your host, Jess, and we are Pristine Podcasts. Let's talk podcasting. So first off, I want to start with explaining the concept of a lead magnet, freebie, content upgrade, or whatever else you might want to call this free thing that you're offering, because I want all of us to be on the same page. And I understand that there are some of you listening that are kind of new to online marketing. So if you've been around in marketing for a while, just bear with me for 1 minute while I bring everyone up to speed. So simply put, a lead magnet is something that you offer your podcast listeners and your potential customers in that sense in exchange for their email address. This is usually some sort of downloadable file of some kind that provides a lot of value to your listeners and solves like a very specific pain or problem. So this email address then goes into your email service provider, and that email service provider then automatically sends out the download link to the person that opted in to receive this free thing. And then afterwards, you can send those people further emails to nurture them and turn them into customers, because people don't just become customers when they first hear about you. It takes a while for them to build trust with you, and they often need multiple touch points and multiple positive experience with you and your brand before they're ready to invest money into working with you, which makes sense. So if you're newer in business and you do not have this set up at all, then you're going to want to do that. And I know that there is a decent amount of resistance when it comes to email marketing because, I personally hate getting emails. I don't think it's that important, but I'm going to tell you, if you have a business, people are selling tons of services, products, whatever, via email, and email marketing remains the best way for you to actually be able to nurture your audience and to offer them a lot of value as well as sell to them. So if you need a little bit more convincing about that, then you can go back to season 3, episode 4. I actually did an interview with Sandra van der Lee, who's a copywriter, about all things email marketing. And it was A, super fun, and B, a super informative chat. And that may convince you to make some changes in your business. If you want sales, that is. Like if you don't really want any sales and you don't really want to earn any money and you don't really want to get paid, then don't do email marketing and don't do a podcast either, because no point. So back to lead magnets. What is the main challenge with lead magnets in podcasting? Well, the issue is that on your website, sending people to a link, or on social media on most platforms, is pretty easy to do, because people can just click the link wherever they're at, and then they get to a page where they can enter their email address, and then they're sent their file. This page is called an opt-in page because that's what people do there. They opt in to receive emails from you. Now, let's go into the podcasting landscape. And let's put ourselves in our shoes of our listeners. So we know from a lot of research that's been done as to how and when people listen to podcasts, that people listen to podcasts in all sorts of places and at all sorts of different times. So while you're recording and you're sitting at your desk and you've got your mic and you're very strategic and you have your list there of your script and everything, when your listener receives that episode, they're actually not sitting at their desk. They're not in front of their laptop. They're not actually even fully paying attention to you in a lot of cases. So your listeners might be out running errands. They might be at the supermarket. They might be on the train to or from work. They might be, standing up, squashed into someone's armpit with no signal, and they pre-downloaded your podcast episode so they could listen to it on the train. They might be exercising at the gym, at home, whatever. They might be doing dishes. They might be cleaning the house. They might be driving. They might be doing all sorts of other things when they actually receive your podcast episode, okay? So most likely they are in their podcast app. They're busy doing something else at the same time as they're listening to your podcast. And they are right now in the mindset of do this errand or do this thing and entertain myself with this podcast. So I'm using my time wisely. Okay. So they're not in the frame of mind right now where they're like necessarily working and problem solving. If they're a regular subscriber, they are most likely doing something else at the same time of listening to your podcast. Now, in the middle of this podcast episode that they're listening to, you're telling them about the free thing that you have. And you're like, hey, go get this free thing that I have for you by going to this website address. Okay, so now let's put ourselves in the picture of the person driving right now. So the person that's driving their car right now while they're listening to your podcast, they are in the mindset of wanting to listen to this episode. They want more content, that's what they're doing right now. So for them to take action right now, they would have to remember the URL that you've just given them. They have to keep driving. So the episode keeps playing because, they're listening, they're in the car, they don't want to stop it right now. They have to keep driving to the next safe place. They have to pull over from driving, and they might be in a rush to get the kids from school, to make it home, whatever. They have to pull over. Then they would have to go back to the episode. They would have to rewind the episode. They would have to listen to the episode again. They'd have to leave their podcast app. They'd have to go to the browser, and they'd have to enter their details to go get the thing right now. Or they would have to remember that you mentioned a download in this episode that they may want to get. So they have to keep driving maybe for another 20, 30 minutes, and then another person's podcast episode starts playing because yours is finished and they're still driving. And by the time they get home, they've already forgotten about the thing that you told them about. So whenever you're mentioning your freebie, they just may not be able to take action right now where they are with what they're doing, or they've forgotten by the time they've gotten to a place where they can actually do something. And if they are able to take action because let's say they're at home and they can just stop hoovering for a minute, there are quite a few steps involved in this process, and they're right now on just, listen to a podcast. So the thing that you're offering them really has to be extremely juicy, and it really has to hit the nail on the head. And if it's not, well, then people are lazy and they simply won't do it. So the biggest mistake that podcasters make with their lead magnets is to forget the circumstance in which people are listening to their show. Now, there's some things where this goes wrong in multiple places, actually. So some podcasters, some business owners will say, oh, well, I have mentioned this free thing that I have once or twice now, and nobody signed up for it. So therefore, nobody wants it. So I'm going to stop mentioning it. And that is simply not true. So you would be surprised how often someone needs to hear something to decide to check out that thing. And often we are always listening to podcasts at the same time, doing the same activity. And the person that's listening may just repeatedly be in the gym when they're listening to your podcast, and they don't really want to sign up for something right now. And the second mistake that podcasters and business owners make is that they always offer the same lead magnet because they only bothered to create one. And that lead magnet is just not motivating enough for people to sign up, or it simply doesn't fit the stage of the buying cycle, that the person that's listening is in. Or it's just not juicy enough for someone to stop what they're doing right now, to go through all this kerfuffle, to rewind the episode, to get the link again, to go to their browser, to sign up, to put their email address in there, just to get your thing. So the biggest thing that I can recommend for you to do is to always put yourself into your listener's shoes and to make sure that what you're offering absolutely suits your people and really addresses a need that they have right now. So if they're at the stage where they're just discovering this thing that you're talking about, they have completely different thoughts and completely different desires than people who have been listening to your show who are more experienced in this space that you're in. And they might want to, find like a specific solution. So it isn't possible to offer just one lead magnet that is going to be attractive to all of your different subtypes of your podcast listeners, because in their thinking, they are just in a different stage of what they know about themselves or about this problem that they're having. And your lead magnet needs to pick them up at the place that they're at right now and not offer them something that they already figured out 6 months ago and then keep offering that same thing because, they haven't downloaded it yet. But mentally, they have moved on from that challenge that they were experiencing when they found you 6 months ago. So now they're listening to other episodes that address other problems that they now have, but your lead magnet no longer suits that group of people. The other thing is, play with the name of your lead magnet. Sometimes it's just that whatever you called it doesn't sound particularly sexy. That's where AI comes in. I was talking about AI the other day. If you haven't listened to that, season 3, episode 10. But you can use AI to generate you a whole load of sexy names for your lead magnet and then test them out. Sometimes just renaming the thing gets more people to download it. Then you might want to make more lead magnets that address different problems of your audience and that address different angles of the same issue. And you might even just be able to have the same kind of lead magnet with just a slight change just to appeal to a different group of people. Something else that you're going to want to be doing is you might want to play with a different format. So the people who are on your podcasts, they like podcasts, right? That's why they're listening to your podcast. And then your lead magnet is a 200-page ebook about the state of your industry. Maybe they don't like reading. Like, they're audio people. They're on an audio platform. Maybe they like a video. Maybe they like audio. And maybe reading an ebook is their idea of a nightmare because they just won't do it. So maybe record an audio version of this ebook and make it exclusively promoted on the podcast. So you will say, hey, that ebook that I was telling you about, I recorded an audio version of it. And suddenly you have a pile of people that are going to go and download that because you turned the ebook into an audio book and now they can listen to it, which we know they like because they're listening to your podcast. Okay. Then you might want to create different lead magnets for different stages in your buying cycle so that they're more relevant to groups of people that might have already been listening to your show for a long time and they're not at the situation anymore where they're asking themselves, why can I not lose weight? But they're asking themselves, what is the best solution to help me to lose weight? So if you're not picking up your listener where they are right now with their problems and the thing that you're offering them doesn't sound sexy and it's not in a format that they like to consume, then you're going to have way less people that actually download this thing. So I always like to encourage people to see this like a science experiment. Like, if you're doing marketing, you, in my opinion, are doing science, and it's a social science. You're diving into people's psychology, people's thinking, why people do what they do. And it's really important that you spend some time really understanding the people that you're speaking to. Okay. And then have some fun with it. It doesn't say anything like, if your lead magnet's not converting, it doesn't mean that you're bad at what you do. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that the positioning of your lead magnet or the thing that you offered isn't quite what people want or need. Okay. Or maybe it is what they need. That's another huge issue though. There's a difference between what the person needs and what they want. Okay. So that probably warrants a whole episode in itself, but you want to give people what they want and then turn it into what they need, basically. So if people think like, I want this kind of thing that helps me to solve this problem, but you know that the problem runs deeper because you've been working with that group of people so long, you sell them what they want. They want this thing that solves their problem, but then you actually deliver to them what it is that they really need. And that is a different way of thinking and looking at their problems because there's a different underlying problem underneath the problem that they're experiencing. And you know that because you have more experience than they do. Okay. So there's so many things that can be tweaked and that can be experimented with. And I would encourage you to see it as like something that you're curious about. Like, I wonder why this isn't converting. I wonder why nobody's coming to check that out. I wonder why. And then just start testing different variations of it. Start testing different names, start testing different formats, start testing different content, and start with the thing that is the least effort, So that's really it from me today on the note of lead magnets. If you have a lead magnet that isn't really converting, or you're producing episodes nonstop and you just feel like it's not really doing anything for you, we still have our Fix My Damn Content session where we go together and we plan out the next 12 weeks of content for your business to prepare for the sale of a specific offer or product, to make sure that the people who are listening to your show are actually going to become subscribers and are actually going to end up purchasing from you. If you want to check that out, then you can go to pristinepodcast.com/content and you can go and book in for a session over there. And then we will get all of this done together. And working together makes lighter work. Alrighty, that's it from me today. As always, I hope you have an amazing day and I will see you for the next one. That's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you. If you want to finally get your podcast listeners to convert to leads and sales, then don't forget to check out the Fix My Damn Content session. You can find out more at pristinepodcast.com/fixmydamncontent. We would love to support you.